This time of year, I love the crisp mornings that can get down to 45 degrees, but then also hot during the day. It's a really perfect time to enjoy the outdoors and prep for the season ahead. Changes of seasons a lot of times inspire me to get a few home projects done that I've been thinking about. I have a piece of art that my friend Sarah Jo from Briarton Farm painted for me over the summer that I'm just now getting framed and hung. We have some things that we're going to do in the living room, a project there. I have a project I'm excited to do for the girls' room. And then in the next couple weeks, kind of transition this farmhouse from summer to fall with the decor, just slight things. I'm not going to go buy a whole bunch of stuff or make huge changes, but tying up loose ends, doing a little cleaning, and then adding natural and fresh things to make it feel like a new season. It's so important to me in my home to make it feel special and personal and not like anyone else's. That's why I do so much thrifting and antiquing, trying to find things that come from different time periods and have a story. I also like to do our own decor, make our own decor. Now, I'm not as talented as my friend Sarah Jo over from Briarton Farm, who painted that picture for me, but I can use tools like the Cricut, which happens to be the sponsor of today's video, to create personalized art that is meaningful for our family. I have wanted to do silhouettes in the girls' room at least, and even possibly for everyone in the family for a long time now. And I'm starting with just a couple in the girls' room, but I put it off for some reason, and this could not have been simpler with our Cricut Maker 3. Now, I did entrust my daughter, who is the Cricut expert in this family, to help me with this project. I started by taking profile pictures of the two girls that I wanted to do this for. We used a background that was somewhat neutral, not that it would really matter, but it's easier to cut them out and crop the background, remove the background in that situation. Once we had the backgrounds removed, we opened up our Cricut Design Space to start a new project and upload an image. We just saved them without the background to our computer, drug it into Cricut Design Space, clicked preview. At that point, you can choose multiple layers. There's a few options, but we just wanted the single layer to cut out on black vinyl. We used the smart vinyl just to make it really easy, straightforward project. We also brought in my other daughter's picture. Now, we wanted them to be the same size because they're going in the same kids' room. So we overlaid them, made one a different color. Now we changed that back because we wanted them the same color. We just wanted to be sure that their heads were the same size. Obviously, one of my daughters has really long hair, so we had to try to accommodate that by measuring the area that we had inside the frames and on the cardstock. Next, we connected the Cricut by Bluetooth. That was very simple, and then selected the material. We're doing the smart vinyl, so we don't really need a mat. We don't need any additional tools. We can just load the smart vinyl right in. Now, my daughter does have this little roll tray that kind of guides it and also has a cutter on there. This is optional. You don't have to have it, but it is a nice little tool. So we just roll that in there. At this point, the Cricut's just measuring it to make sure that you have enough space for the design that you've selected. Of course, we have two different girl silhouettes that do fit side by side on this vinyl. After it's done that, you can press the little play button. It looks like a little play button triangle. and it will start cutting out the design. The last step is just pulling off the cuts like a sticker. It's very simple, and placing them centered on the pieces of cardstock that I cut out to match the insides of the frame, just to fit in the frame. Super simple, such a nice project. I'm thinking about all the ways that you could use a Cricut for personalized gifts this Christmas. Make something special, but also very inexpensive for everyone on your list. I love handmade gift ideas. I love creating something that has meaning to someone, something personalized, something very special. My girls both really love the vintage and antique style in their bedroom. They have a poster bed with a canopy on it, thrifted vintage quilts, a big wooden armoire, painted floors, vintage art, and this is so special to them to have something that fits that aesthetic, but also is very personal to them. I will leave a link for all the tools and supplies I used down in the description box below. Again, thank you so much, Cricut, for sponsoring today's video. Once I picked the bones for all the meat, these are beef soup bones, I put them back in a stock pot with water and let them simmer on the stove for another day or two before straining off for broth. This is a simple recipe over on the farmhouseonboone.com blog that is perfect for all of those fresh apples this time of year. This could be a breakfast, could be a dessert, but it's sweetened only with maple syrup, and it uses a sourdough starter mixture for the top. It's just sourdough starter, baking powder, some maple syrup, eggs, and it goes over top of some apples chopped up with cinnamon, maple syrup, and nutmeg. So yeah, we do it for either dessert with a scoop of homemade ice cream or for breakfast without the ice cream. I forgot to mention there's also butter in that topping. It is very, very delicious. I do want to point out that this bread was just made last night before bed. I like to occasionally remind you that you don't have to have days for sourdough bread. You can let it do all of its fermenting at room temperature, skip the refrigerator rise, and have fresh bread the next morning. Or if you start it in the morning, have it later that evening. So this one, I think I started probably around 6 p.m. I did stretch and folds throughout the evening. Just as I thought of it, I went over, did a stretch and fold, and then it sat out overnight. I'm going to shape it, put one in the fridge for another day, and then bake the other one right away for lunch today to go with a roast and mashed potatoes that we're having. I've been putting off forever hanging instruments here in our living room. We had them all piled up over in the corner in their cases, and it kind of drove me nuts. And I talked about this on the podcast. I was talking about projects that I put off. Anyways, I put this one off for such a long time when really one morning Luke and I could just get these things hung up really in between breakfast and homeschool. So it was no big deal, but it feels a lot better in that space to have it not cluttered. I know it's technically better to be able to put your instruments in cases. We did leave my daughter's violin in the case because that's a more expensive instrument, but I thought it was worth whatever damage might be done to have them A, readily available so they'll actually get practiced, and B, not cluttered. So that's a project we've been wanting to do, and this fall felt like a really good time to do it. Well, I hope that you enjoyed going along with me as I did some fall projects and got this place a little bit more ready for autumn. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you're brand new, please hit that subscribe button. I would love to see you following along. Thank you so much for stopping by our farmhouse.